Howdy, welcome back. If you haven't seen the first part of this miniseries, check it out, because we're going to be going through pretty much every noteworthy or interesting article that I can find from the last decade, in mostly chronological order, as we look back on the history of Grand Theft Auto 6 rumors until we finally catch up to the present. Now, it seems as though the interview with Develop Magazine that Leslie Benzies gave shortly after the release of GTA 5 continued to be the most cited source for any and all GTA 6 rumors for quite some time. One quote that certainly kept people's attention for a while was when the Benz mentioned how they had 45 years worth of ideas, which many took to mean that GTA titles would continue to be churned out as they had been for a decade and a half before that. Now, according to the page as it looks today, this article was from January of 2017. But if Google is to be believed, it was actually first published in January of 2015, just a little over a year after GTA 5's release. And while it doesn't exactly cover rumors per se, it does get into some of the speculation for what 6's setting would be. Among the cities speculated are London, Paris, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Seattle, Las Vegas, even though we already know there's an existing Las Vegas parody with Las Venturas, and then most curiously, Portland, Oregon, which we'll get into in a minute. Now, this article wasn't trying to be anything more than speculation, but I find it infinitely curious that there was ever an expectation from anyone that GTA would visit somewhere like Paris, or even more unlikely from where I'm standing, Dubai in the UAE, which was mentioned by a different article that this one seems to have yoinked the idea from. By the time GTA 5 came out, the Grand Theft Auto franchise was 15 years old. We already saw them reinvent their own wheel twice, once when they jumped into the 3D era, and once when changing eras with the release of GTA 4. Both times, we stayed in essentially the same places we'd been seeing since literally the very first Grand Theft Auto back in '97. Now granted, we did get 3 new cities out of what was originally 1 in GTA 1, with San Andreas' take on LA, San Fran, and Las Vegas, Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, but beyond those, and I suppose anywhere city from GTA 2, we have been stuck in the same 3 locations since the very start: West Coast US, East Coast US, or Florida. Okay, so like I said, this is only going to be mostly in chronological order, since that last article actually led me to something more interesting in the form of this. GTA 6 rumors. Will Rockstar set the next GTA game in a fictionalized Portland, Oregon? Which at first seems kinda silly, but it gets even sillier. As it turns out, the idea for a GTA based in Oregon came from some real estate company out of San Francisco, I think. Though I didn't look into them too much. I have to assume they also had businesses in Oregon itself, otherwise what would be the point of an article like this? Honestly, this one was kind of a funny read, and it's pretty short, so I'm just going to run through it quickly. We're still waiting for Grand Theft Auto 5 to reach the PC, but many are already wondering about Rockstar's next move. Will the New York studio release GTA 6? And in what city will the new version be set? Real estate blog Movoto believes it has chosen the best city for the next GTA installment: Portland, Oregon. To be fair, Portland wasn't our first choice either, the Post read on Wednesday. We looked at several cities trying to see which one would be a great place to steal cars in. It's hard to argue with numbers, and the numbers show that not only is Portland a great choice for the next GTA, but also that Portland probably would have actually been a better choice than the lame sauce city Los Whateveros. Los Angeles, Miami, and New York City have all served as the fictional backdrops for previous Grand Theft Auto games. Portland, the largest city in Oregon, has a population of more than 600,000 and is the 3rd most populated city in the Pacific Northwest. Movoto looked at the fact that the real Portland currently has 9 gun stores and 81 strip clubs, including upscale joints like Casa Diablo and Devil's Point. However, Portland only has 6 police stations, half of the 12 police stations in the GTA 5 city of Los Santos. But police stations, strip clubs, and gun stores aren't the only reason why Movoto chose the city of Portland to be the setting of GTA 6. You need that local city smell, Movoto said, that special flavor that makes each GTA a little bit better and a little bit more distinct than the last. For Portland, we felt it was oh so appropriate to include bike shops and coffee shops. Other location suggestions for GTA 6 have been thrown around in the past, some mentioning that players will return to Vice City, Liberty City, or that the game will take place in multiple cities. However, Movoto believes that the choice is pretty clear. Portland would be the perfect city for the next Grand Theft Auto game. It has the personality and the intrigue. Los Whateveros, dude. Maybe this company really was based out of San Fran and just really hated LA or something. Anyway, moving on. Jumping ahead a bit, I found this article from Tweaktown from April 21st of 2015. Now at first glance, this article seems to be once again referencing only the 2013 interview at Develop Magazine, but it goes on to mention speculation that would become quite common, namely the rumor that GTA 6 would feature a recreation of the entire United States, aka Project America. The article itself never uses this term, but we would eventually find out there was indeed a time when this idea was at least strongly considered for GTA 6, and it may very well have initially been the plan in early stages of development. Where exactly Tweaktown first heard this rumor though, I'm not entirely sure yet. The latest report has Rockstar mapping the whole US for GTA 6, and while this might be a rumor, it's not too far out of reality. Ubisoft did something similar with The Crew, which took the entire United States and shoved it into a smaller map, which took around 1.5 hours to drive across. The bigger issues of having the entire US map for GTA 6 would be playing in it, with reports stating loading the entirety of the USA would have its issues. I mean, driving from one city to another would be a real chore, especially if it's just filled with countryside and nothing to do in between. Second, the hardware requirements would be out of this world, even with the best coding that Rockstar could manage. By then, we should hopefully see consoles either gone or rolled into services that could stream the content to you from a supercomputer, similar to how Nvidia's grid technology works. But just imagine a supersized Grand Theft Auto 6 playable on the PC, or in VR. Now, from what we would eventually learn in the 2022 leak, this seems to line up quite nicely. Many reports seem to indicate that Rockstar did indeed want to try and release GTA 6 sometime around 2020, but that the loss of key staff like Leslie Benzies, Dan Houser, and Laszlo Jones eventually forced the development cycle to start all over again, or at the very least, to be pushed back and re-evaluated. None of this has been confirmed 100% as far as I know, but like I said, it seems to line up. And while it may have been the first time I've found a mention of the Project America idea for GTA 6, it most certainly wouldn't be the last. This article from July of 2015, just a few months later, also mentions the rumor that GTA 6 will feature a complete recreation of the United States, perhaps like Ubisoft's The Crew, which had been the first game to seemingly pull off this feat in 2014, just 1 year after the release of GTA 5, albeit using a whole lot of cheats and shortcuts. It's already been confirmed that GTA 6 is in development and will be bigger than GTA 5, but is it really possible to map America entirely? The GTA 6 release date is rumored to lie somewhere in 2020, giving Rockstar over 5 years to create the next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. If the rumors of the game being set across the US are true, then 5 years wouldn't be that much time for the Rockstar team to recreate the entire country. It may well mean that we need to take the rumor with a pinch of salt, and that GTA 6 might actually just include multiple US locations, rather than just one city. Or it could take cues from the racer The Crew, which took the US and made it into a smaller, more navigable map, and that took about an hour and a half in real time to drive from one side to the other. Again, this article does not directly mention where it gets its sources, but I have a feeling it's already been confirmed that GTA 6 is in development, comes once again from the 2013 Leslie Benzies interview and nothing more. I still have no idea where trusted reviews, or Tweaktown for that matter, heard this rumor, but it does seem to have at least at one point been parallel to the truth. Then I came across an article with a provocative and sensationalist headline, which means you know it's definitely reputable. Grand Theft Auto 6 News, Ryan Gosling or Eva Mendez to voice GTA 6 protagonists. But don't get too excited. I mean, this was nearly 10 years ago, and I'm sorry to say, I don't think the reported protagonists, Jason and Lucia, are going to be played by these two actors, but I suppose we won't know until the game comes out. This article also seems to run with the idea from the last one that the game will release sometime around 2020, but unsurprisingly it does not cite a source for this particular rumor. GTA 6 is expected to launch sometime between 2018 and 2020, but most probably not any sooner than that. N4BB reports that GTA 6 will not be launched before 2018, considering the developer is probably busy preparing Red Dead Redemption 2, which is reportedly gearing up for an official announcement at E3. It has also been rumored on various GTA forums and websites that the 6th installment of the game will feature a few great environment upgrades, which bring natural disasters such as earthquakes, storms, and other extreme weather simulations to the gameplay. In addition, the Rockstar team plans to incorporate the whole US map into the next GTA, making it the biggest map created so far if this happens. As for the protagonist of the game, it was initially believed that Ryan Gosling would lend his voice to the game. However, in an interview with Rockstar's Dan Houser for The Guardian, it was implied that GTA fans could be seeing a female protagonist this time around, believed to be voiced by Eva Mendez. There was also this very similar article from earlier that same month, December of 2015. This one from Express also mentions the possibility of Eva Mendez or Ryan Gosling portraying the protagonists, but most interestingly, it gives us a screenshot. A screenshot that we know is almost certainly completely fake and fan-made, but served as a source of intense speculation for years, with the concept of all 3 major GTA cities connected in one massive landmass. Rockstar are yet to comment on the rumors, but lead developer Leslie Benzies previously confirmed that his team will be first working on a map before adding in stories and missions. This video is brought to you by my wonderful supporters over on Patreon. By supporting the channel for less than $2 American a month, you can get early access to videos, the ability to download episodes, and nearly 100 original music tracks, many of which are extended versions of the tracks that are on streaming services. A very special thank you to my executive producer tier patrons, Ezra Hambrick, Mason Colin, Aussie, Diecastinator, Chuck K45, Miles Garrett, and King GTA 15. All of you are amazing, and your support is something I truly can't express my gratitude for fully. Thank you so much. Today's episode is sponsored in part by my executive producers Ezra Hambrick, Mason Colin, Chuck K45, and Diecastinator. You can check out Ezra's YouTube channel, Scott Games 99, where they play games such as NHL and MLB, and story-based games like the Red Dead Redemption series, with plenty more story-based games to come soon. Mason Colin's podcast channel, We're About Everything, where they discuss, well, everything from zombie apocalypses to game remasters and more. Chuck K45's channel, who's working on setting up a channel all about buying farm equipment and fixing it up, and then starting a new farm from scratch, and Diecastinator's channel, where they examine, review, and discuss all things diecast, from the history of the hobby to rare models, and much more, with new videos basically every day, in addition to buying and selling and trading the diecast cars. All links in the description, and a very big thank you to all of my patrons. Your support is literally helping me to keep the lights on, so from the bottom of my little black heart, thank you all so very much. Support the channel by showing my executive producers some love, or sign up yourself today. And now, back to the video. These articles also led me to the interview that Dan Houser gave to The Guardian just 4 days before the release of GTA 5, and I thought it would once again be a fascinating exercise to run through the interview and see what we can learn about how the company was imagining GTA 6 all those years ago. We're 4 days away now. After a year of pre-publicity and a 5-year wait since GTA 4, the latest installment in Rockstar's gangland opus is almost upon us. Featuring a game world larger than any other title in the series, hours of cinematic sequences, and a truly epic cast of crazed characters, Grand Theft Auto 5 has a scale and ambition that exceeds most AAA developments on the current consoles. Indeed, people are already calling GTA 5 the first next-generation video game. Last October, I traveled to New York to get one of the first demos of the game. While there, I met Dan Houser, co-founder of Rockstar and co-writer of the Grand Theft Auto titles. There, I asked him about the process of building a new GTA from scratch, and how the different parts of Rockstar North combine to allow its complicated interplay of story, side missions, and sandbox freedom. How do you begin a Grand Theft Auto game? Are you always thinking of the next one? We don't see it as a production line in that way. We have a lot of guys on the team. It's not like a freelance unit that gets taken down and put together again. So, of course, when it finishes, we do need to roll onto something fairly quickly, but there's a certain amount of downtime. Not till the very dying embers of this will we give the next one a moment's thought, and that's if we're going to do another one. We always said that if we couldn't think of something interesting to do, then we'd stop, for this or Red Dead, but particularly for GTA. As much as anything, they are a response to what we think went well, or what we could do better, or what could be different from the last one. GTA 4 felt like a real change in direction, or at least a maturation for the series. After San Andreas, with the move to high definition, we really wanted to be focused and very tight. Apart from anything else, we couldn't do any more than that, because of the complexities of just making an HD game at the time. This time we wanted to make something very broad in scope, because we have a bit more understanding of the tech, and we wanted to use that to put a big landscape in there, and lots of outdoor aspects to it. That was the first sliver of a concept. And how do things usually progress after the first kernel of an idea? How do you decide where to go next? I think it's Sam and Aaron who decide. They'll certainly discuss it with Leslie, myself, and maybe a few others, but it's between the two of them. Aaron especially, because he has to plan it and build it. Sam gets really heavily involved in that early stage of where it's going to go. For GTA 5, they were keen on LA for a bunch of reasons, but in particular because we hadn't done it properly. We made San Andreas, but LA was only a tiny bit of that. It was a section of 3 small villages linked together by some cool countryside. So we felt that we could do something that was very different. Having a developer in San Diego and businesses in LA all the time, we all go there at different points throughout the year. It's a city we know very well, and we haven't done justice to. We felt we could do something very fresh and new there, so the very first decision is the place. LA gives us the countryside around Southern California, which is spectacular and good for the kind of game we wanted to make. You get the mountains, the desert, that seemed very appealing. And what do you think about next? On previous games, the next thing has been the character and the reason why they're in the world and what we're going to do with them in the world. That's the normal process, and alongside that, a feature set of things we want to do differently and things we want to improve. This time, we thought about Nico and John Marston. They're kind of single-player odysseys, for want of a better word. They were so epic in scope, we thought, what can we do with one player that's better than that? Who, as Franklin, are you most likely to follow or believe or not believe? That process began to set the story in motion, and the narrative evolved out of the characters' past and their future. As soon as we had those characters, that side of the game came together fairly organically, as it should do. Every time we get the lead character and what the reasoning in the world is, if we're doing a good job and it's the right thing, the rest of it, I mean, maybe the ending needs some work and some of the things driving it forward, but the overall feel of the story should feel very organic to us. If we get that feeling, we know we've got a story that people are going to find compelling. Do you feel receptive to influences during this period? The first GTA games felt very cinematic. It felt like you were channeling movie culture. Has that changed? I think we tried to move away from that quite consciously after San Andreas. That was for a bunch of reasons, but I suppose primarily we felt we wanted to say something that was not speaking about movies, but about the wider media world. And also, when you're making something about the 80s, you want to talk about the 80s media as much as anything else. But with something about 2008 or 2013, I believe we're as equipped to say that as much as anyone else. It no longer felt relevant to us to pastiche movies. We'd had a good experience doing that, but it was time to move on and do our own thing. Do you think about the meaning of the game in the early stages? Do you look to convey specific messages? Because of the nature of games, this combination of narrative and freeform experience, they can give you an experience that is very different from what someone else discerns. It can mean different things, which I think is their greatest strength as an immersive medium. We're very hands-off in that regard. The authorial presence should be hands-off in terms of determining interpretations, otherwise it's not remotely sophisticated. But I'm not saying we are sophisticated. You talk a lot about collaboration. It seems very important at Rockstar. Are you constantly having to rewrite narrative based on feedback from the game designers? Well, we chop it up. We have an overview that gets turned into a game design and a game flow and the missions. We do bits of it. I'll do some on one mission, the others will do some. It's very easy to fix bits that way. We're not precious about it. Well, we're precious at the end. Is it any good? But it's only occasionally that we'll have real problems. We have a couple of game designers with us all the time while we write, so we're not working against game design. It used to be back in the day there was a little bit more of a structural break between game design and story writing, and we've really worked hard to get rid of that so we all feel like we're equally invested in it. There shouldn't be this big space. The story needs this and the game designers need that. Hopefully, if we planned it all together, we should all feel one and the same. We shouldn't feel like separate departments. When it comes to actually writing the exact dialogue for within the body of the mission, the writer and the designer sit together and go through it line by line by line. But even before that, it should feel collaborative all the way along. The conflicts are usually, this idea looks great on paper, but for whatever reason it ain't working, so we all have to agree on replacing it. Do you have creative flashpoints? Not really, it doesn't really work like that. The flashpoints are these. This bit's needed for the story, but it's not working in terms of gameplay. The mission is not fun, it needs to go. We always have missions that get cut for whatever reason. We either have to rejig bits of the story to make it all tied together, or we have to cut that bit of the story into a different mission. This game is very tightly bound because it has 3 interconnected stories the whole way along. It's complex. But everyone approaches them in the spirit of, how do we fix it? If we all understand what each bit needs, how do we make it all gel together? It's a bit like editing a movie that you need to get to a certain length. The tech is better now, it makes it slower to work, but you can fix things more easily. You can repurpose bits, throw things away, fix them up again. We've always lost bits. Oh, it's not making any sense. Then you just redo one scene and it makes perfect sense. That's just a standard start of the process. We pride ourselves on not being too pig-headed internally. Our goal as a company isn't for people to say that Rockstar has got good game design but shit stories, or good stories but shit game design. We want them to say that Rockstar makes good games. Ideally, they can't think about anything except, I love the whole experience. The goal is to have the whole thing feel indivisible. I like the way that the real world of the GTA games infringes on the action. Whatever you're doing, in the background there's a city going about its business. There's a sense that the reality of the game scales. Yes, it all scales. I remember reading a criticism of GTA 4. They were saying that you can be on a date or doing something else, and then there's a ridiculous advert outside the window and that ruins it. But that's exactly the way the world is, or the modern world, or the postmodern world, whatever we're meant to call it now. You can never escape this stuff, and it's never going to completely enhance your mood. That's the game doing a brilliant job of what it's supposed to do. There's a believability to it. These characters aren't superheroes. They have this grimness to them, these nuances. That's something we wanted to build with Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. What are they doing when they're not being action anti-heroes? That's a real strength of the game, a real strength of the world, and potentially a strength of the games in general, when they move away from trying to just portray larger-than-life Ubermenschens. One thing I think we can all agree on is the games are about macho subcultures. There are a lot of gangsters. A lot of gangsters, but hopefully we're not glorifying them too much. We try to make things real, to undercut them. Right, but when you changed to multiple characters, did you think of having a woman in the lead playable role? We didn't really think about it this time. That's not to say that we wouldn't or we couldn't. This character set is just what came to us. It wasn't, we've got X and Y so we need Z. We weren't trying to do it off a checklist. I don't think that will ever give you something that's believable or engaging. In the future, could we do a game with a female lead character? Of course. We just haven't found the right game for it yet, but it's one of the things that we always think about. It didn't feel natural for this game, but definitely for the right game in the future, with the right themes, it could be fantastic. But for GTA 5, this was the organic thing that came up. These were the characters, what would display the themes we wanted to think about.
GTA 5 is coming at the end of the console cycle. Does the advance of technology interest you? Do you think, oh wow, what will GTA 6 look like on PS4?
Of course we're interested, but no, not in terms of GTA, because we're always working on the current game. We look at the tech at a more practical level. What will be ready for the game that we're working on further down the line? We don't have another GTA in development. We don't work on these games at a time. That would be phenomenally depressing. So in terms of GTA, no. We get pitched by the hardware manufacturers and what they're planning to do, and our tech guys come up with ideas on how they could be used. Does this influence design decisions? Of course. But we're not sat there fantasizing about 10 years down the line. We're so busy with what we're doing right now.
You said that you would finish GTA when it stopped being interesting, but the games industry now depends heavily on its brands. Can you really imagine a future without it?
Well, we don't need to worry about it just yet, because we're not there. I don't think about this. I just do my little bits and pieces so that no one's shouting, "Where's your work, you bastard?" That's my day-to-day, worrying about the next couple of games, helping to run the business. That's more than enough for me. So far, when it comes down to it, we wanted this game to be the one where you'd go, I played San Andreas, I played GTA 4, I like them, but I know I'm going to be bored by this one. And then you put it in and say, wow. We wanted this game to be jaw-dropping in terms of its scope, in terms of its design ambition. We're always looking for that.
So there's no 10-year plan at Rockstar HQ for GTA?
This was the best game we could make at this point in time. We're not holding back anything for the future. If you said to me now, go and design another GTA, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do next? But hopefully, when the time comes, we'll figure out what was good, what wasn't, and what could be improved with a bit of tech. The reason the game is still vibrant and exciting 11 years after it went into 3D is because we haven't done that. We've gone all out on every version to try and make the absolute best game we could make at the time. And yes, we've had to cut features out because they couldn't be done or whatever it might be, but each time we've been ambitious and pushed ourselves as hard as we could. Of course, a part of me would love to not have to worry about GTA anymore, but another part of me goes, I'm so excited to see what the guys have come up with, and what we can all do when the time comes. We're focused purely on finishing this, and that's what allows us to maintain some semblance of sanity.
Did you ever think about exploring the UK further than GTA games? Lots of people remember the GTA London titles quite fondly.
I think for us, my gut feeling is GTA London was cool for the time, but games were more limited then. These days, I think we would love to set a game in the UK, set in London, whatever, but I don't know if it would be a GTA game. I think there could be plenty of great stories we could tell about the UK, great environments to showcase, great gameplay mechanics that could have a UK bent to them. I just don't think it would be a GTA game necessarily. There are so many games we'd like to make that we just don't have the bandwidth to make at the moment. But we always think, well, the future is long and varied, and that's what the future's for. Speaking for myself, and normally I'd be as militant about saying we as much as possible because it certainly isn't only me at all, thank God, but my own personal feeling is that GTA is America. With this game, I think we're happy with the location. It let us do something iconic. Well, I cut out a decent amount of the two-part interview that was only about the development process on GTA 5, but nowhere in there did I hear anything that confirmed the existence of GTA 6 this early, or anything that explicitly teased the whole Project America idea, so I suppose on that front at least, we'll just have to keep digging. The whole interview is actually pretty fascinating, and just like the Develop Magazine interview the Benz gave, it gives an interesting look at what Rockstar Games looked like 10 years ago, with the reminder that just like the Benz, Dan Houser would soon after leave Rockstar entirely and found his own company, Absurd Ventures and Games. Well, that's all for today, folks, but we've got plenty more to dig through as we work our way through the mounds of speculation that have accumulated over the last decade. Join me next time for another Rockstar Games history lesson, and if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to do so you can see whenever I release new episodes of this series, or my other shows like GTA Biographies. Until next time, y'all, I'm Guinness Walker. Peace the fuck out.